Hello, everybody. This is Ed K. Smith, the co-host of the Digital Asset Show. Or the Asset Show. I've got it wrong. First time.
It is about digital.
I've ever got it wrong.
Well, but...
It is, but it's the Asset Show, and I stuffed it up for the first time ever. But anyway, that's fine. Rob can edit that out. Here with the wonderful co-host, Rob K. How are you, Rob?
Good, mate. I like your reindeers.
Excellent.
Your reindeer.
Yeah, do you like my reindeers?
Antlers?
Well, our special guest down below me, if it's how it's showing up on the recording, we have Carolyn MacDonald, who is the CEO of Black Tie Digital, and we also have Todd Pierce, who is now we'll classify this as the CGO, the Chief Growth Officer, which is actually a thing. I looked it up. So welcome you guys and thanks for coming on the podcast. How are you?
Awesome. Wonderful to be here.
Really good, guys. Pleasure to be here.
So, we've got as you can tell, it's obviously Christmas. Yeah. I've got this weird little Rudolph reindeer ears and whatever antlers on. And Carolyn's got her Santa hat. So that's good. The other two guys, they're not playing. They're not playing. They weren't prepped. This was not planned, by the way. I just happened to have these lying around. Carolyn was the only one that actually came in with it all ready to go.
Yeah.
So kudos to you.
We're playing on the inside.
No problem. I've been Santa today. I've been delivering all our team gifts. So we're following up the end of year wrap up theme, and we've got to be festive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is our last show for 2022. So thank you guys for coming on. It has been an amazing year. So much has happened in the whole Web3 blockchain domain name, everything space that Rob and I play in has been a crazy 2022.
And let's not forget, Ed, that this is when we transformed from when we were just running the domain name show, and we transformed to the asset show because we figured out we don't just want to talk about domain names as digital assets. We want to talk about all kinds of digital assets in this day and age.
Yeah, completely and utterly. And one thing led to another. I ended up across in Sydney a few weeks ago, moderating the panel for the DCOM team, and met Carolyn there because she was at the event. Got chatting to her. Was blown away by the stuff that she's doing, and I only got a small little snippet into that window. Met her husband Simon, and then said, "Come on the show." She kindly said yes, and she goes, "I'm going to also bring this Todd dude that she kept going on about, the guy with the big arms and tats." So I'm sure he's got more to share in his amazing brain about how he's growing the business. So let's get stuck into it. All right. So what we'll do, first, we'll get a little bit of a backstory from both of you, because I know when I was speaking to you, Carolyn, you've got a long history tied up in the digital space. We'll call it that. So can you go back, I'm going to say 30 years now, because I know that's roughly how long it is. You don't have to go over every single detail, but how did you get involved in what you're doing now? And I know there was a tie-in with real estate that led into this. So can you kick off and backstory that for us, please?
Absolutely. First of all, I'm going to say I was a toddler, right, at 30 years ago. Just to be clear, I'm only 33, everyone.
Okay.
We can't be too, defined on the age here, but yes, Todd's
right,
because he knows that's not the truth. So, but anyway, I got to try. So to give a bit of background, I guess, our family business started 32 years ago, and it was started as a traditional, what they would call in those days, a barter exchange. And that was obviously before the internet. We were running ledgers before they were in Excel. On chits in the back of our office. So whilst obviously at high school, that was my job, to manage these chits, so to speak, of who was doing these trades with each other. So that's sort of the background. We took that business into obviously computers, the internet. So 20 years ago, that business started managing real estate transactions using digital trade credits. So, it's natural for us and a lot of our team here across the world to have transitioned into the blockchain space.
So you were running digital ledger before blockchain and before Bitcoin was invented, really?
Correct. Yes, absolutely. 100%. So I started with tab mash. I don't know. That's really showing my age now. Tab mash and dot matrix printers. But that's how we started our digital ledgers.
Wow. Okay, well, I remember it because, I keep saying I'm 55. I just turned 55. So I've been around since the days. So I know all the things you're talking about.
Thanks for that. That's why I say I'm 35, right?
Yeah, I couldn't get away with that though. You can.
Okay.
So then that transitioned at some point. You became aware of blockchain technology. When did that happen?
Yeah, so we started our transition about 5 years ago. So whilst it's not technically a transition, so, our legacy business continues to operate as a centralized business.
Okay.
And we operate in 13 countries now. So blockchain, how I started to look at blockchain was how can it improve or solve, real world problems. And for us, our digital trade credit business, it doesn't have a problem that needs to be solved because the ledgers are working quite well. And they have been for many years. And, SaaS technology allows that to continue to develop. So we didn't transition that business, but we certainly looked at how blockchain can help solve all the business real world problems. And for real estate was a natural progression for us being in that industry, being licensed across Australia and managing these transactions in the non-traditional space. We know that, it's very hard for first home buyers to get into real estate. The solutions that are out there at the moment are not sustainable solutions for them. Borrow off mum and dad, get a gift, top up your super, whatever strategies the governments have been coming out with are not sustainable strategies. So how do we use blockchain to fix this? So that's how we started on the B4Real journey, which is one of our platforms here at Black Tie.
Cool. Fantastic. So we'll pick up that in a sec. I'll first just get a bit of background from Todd on how you got involved, what your background is taking on the role of Chief Growth Officer. Don't say that fast when you're drunk. That could turn out bad. Chief Growth Officer. Todd, what's your story, my friend?
It's kind of funny, the whole growth officer role, which obviously encompasses many of things, right? How do you define growth? Had a lady message Jared, our COO, just the other day. She goes, "Oh, geez, Todd's role's pretty fitting. It looks like he could lift a car."
Yeah.
But my journey here. Funny enough, Caroline says that she's 33. I also am 33.
Oh, this is getting dangerous.
But my background's rather interesting when it comes to crypto and blockchain. My, I guess, introduction to that happened around the 2016, 2017 mark when one of my business partners, him and I had a software company back in 2016, he started to run effectively Bitcoin education classes. And he invited me to come to one of those, which completely blew my mind, right? Like, there's a lot of technicality to how Bitcoin works and why you should care. And he basically, overloaded everyone that was there. He's like, Bitcoin does this, Bitcoin does that, cold wallet, hot wallet, Ledger, completely overwhelmed us all. And then ended the session by saying everyone should buy some Bitcoin because it's only $900. And, obviously back then I appreciated the idea of Bitcoin, but once again, overloaded, didn't take his advice, did not buy Bitcoins at $900, which everyone's got the story, right? We've all got that friend that said, "Hey, buy some Bitcoin."
Mine's even worse than that, but anyway.
I definitely did. Not $900, right? I'm not as fortunate as, I guess you could say semi-fortunate in that, for example, Jared apparently came across it when I was only a couple of cents, so he kicks himself even more. But that was my introduction to the space. Over the years, I've done a range of different things. I've done coaching, consulting work. I've worked with businesses to refine their sales and marketing processes, had sales and marketing companies for quite a few years, basically providing outsourced sales solutions. So you had a product, I'd come in, I'd build a team, train the team, sell your product for you.
Gotcha.
And kind of along the way, when my software company kind of wrapped up, I had this big space in Fortitude Valley that we ended up turning into a co-working space. And one of our anchor tenants that we had at that location were a VC firm called Blue Chili from down in Sydney. And they were the Brisbane arm of Blue Chili. They had startups. They're an incubator. They had an accelerator program for new businesses. And I started to get involved with their pitching process that they were doing, because every Friday they would run these pitch mornings. And I like to talk. I love to present. I like to think about big ideas and how do you take a big idea and then communicate it to an audience. So I started to listen and give tips. And next thing I know, I'm basically working with these guys, helping them kind of map out presentations. And that kind of led me down the path of VC and helping companies raise venture capital and creating pitch decks. And, it's been a lot of different things. And then you fast forward through to, I think it was 2020, 21, Caroline and I kind of came across each other in a meeting of fate. And obviously what we're doing here with Black Tie is really, really exciting. I've got a passion for innovation and technology, and whether it's a good or a bad thing, I've got a part of my personality which is kind of like, even if it's not broken, let's break it and make it better. I've definitely got that growth mindset, which is fitting for my role.
Sounds like you're right in the right role, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? The best way to grow something is to break it or reset it and make it bigger, right?
Yeah.
But so that's kind of how I came across Black Tie. Obviously, what we're doing here is very exciting. I've got really plucks on my heartstrings the idea of being able to look, for me, one of the most important things in life, I think, is number one, being able to create wealth in your life, to look after yourself and your family and the people you care about. And number two, I think one of the secondary most important things is everybody needs a place to live, right? And as time has gone by, that goal, that Australian dream, has become harder and harder to achieve for people, right? Prices have risen faster than income, and various factors in the market are blocking entire cohorts of people from being able to own their own home and build that wealth through property. So, what we're doing with B4Real really does aim to solve those problems in a special way.
That's a great segue into what we can talk about next, which is your whole structure, I guess. So maybe I'll get up on the screen if this is where we're at, Ed.
Yeah. I know where you're going, mate.
Basically, Black Tie Digital, I guess, is the top of the umbrella for you guys in terms of your company structure and, I guess, technology. So if we scan down here, you've got transforming the real estate market, helping power the new energy grid, evolving commercial blockchain interactions. There's a whole bunch of stuff people can look at what you guys do here. Then B4Real. Can you explain what B4Real is? Does this mean, there you go, there's
Todd.
There's Todd at the bottom. He even tells you on the website. So after you've seen Todd here, you can go and spend more time with him on the website.
Can you shut that guy up, please? Can you just click the little X and turn him off, because you can't talk in two places at once. It's just not possible.
From my understanding, and I'm just looking at this for the first time, you guys said before it's hard for new homeowners to, and people that have left uni and started a job and other sorts of people to get into a home. For me, maybe you're saying here that people can buy tokens of and own parts of real estate.
Sure, I'll take this one, Todd, for you.
Okay.
The key thing, the key factor of B4Real is that we make getting into Aussie property at this stage faster. So making that reality faster. So as a buyer, one, we unlock reward, like special opportunities for them in the real estate market because of our relationships that we've established over the years with developers. We're able to get them off-market access. And that is really important because we've all seen these first home buyers going to auctions and getting bidded out, and it's, you know, a nightmare for them. You know, it's a heartbreaking program, you know, when they're losing these houses on a constant basis. So that was one of the things that we did. We have our staking program, which is really, really cool. And that allows people to save up deposits faster. So we have developers that are part of our staking program. And it allows these people, you know, that might only have, say, 50 grand right now, and that's not enough for a deposit, and they can't save any quicker. So as the market moves, they keep missing out. So they're able to use that 50 grand to buy B4Real tokens and stake. And the yield that we've got there is 20% per annum for them. So, you know, it allows them to get that deposit heaps quicker and into these properties faster. Black Tie has recently put together its own property fund, and that will go to market as a security token offering within 12 months. So again, allowing these younger generations or even older generations with super funds to be able to own a piece of Australian real estate through a security token offering. So there are real three, you know, key factors of what B4Real does and how we can help people get into the Australian property market much quicker and start building their wealth.
Okay. Wow. And then do they have to do all this through a MetaMask wallet, or do they use your own software from your website?
Handing that one to you, Todd.
Yeah. So
otherwise I'll just talk the whole way.
So just to define that a bit more specifically, what part of that process are you referring to?
So if I want to invest in some property but not buy the whole property, can I do it through B4Real, where I just invest in a part of a property? Like I'm taking things back to real simple terms here.
Yeah. And what does that have to do with MetaMask?
Well, do I have to use like a crypto wallet like MetaMask or anything to transact with you guys?
When we get to the stage that we release the tokenized property portfolio, they will be security tokens. So it's a security tokens offering. There'll be an SDO platform that people can use, and you're not restricted to using, you know, an internal wallet that we may or may not have. You know, parts of what we're doing will be centralized, but we're also fans of the decentralized ethos. So at the moment, you can purchase our B4Real tokens, and you can simply connect a MetaMask wallet, and boom, away you go.
So the properties that people can get access to, are they in a specific pool of properties in one location, or are they spread across Australia? Whereabouts are the properties that are involved with this?
Yeah, so they're all national. So we work with about 200 development groups, and we're working direct with the developers. So, you know, again, the key thing for us is, you know, the more layers you have, the more costs go up. So being able to open these access for these properties direct from the developers as early offerings, again, keeps that price point well down for everyone. So they are all across Australia, predominantly apartments.
Yeah, well, yeah. So times have changed since I was a lad, and it's very, very difficult to get that. And the goalposts just keep moving further and further away. They might be coming down a little bit at the moment, but it's just it's unobtainable for a lot of people. So that's fantastic. So you can get into this. So we're tokenizing real estate, basically. Would that be a term you would say would be an accurate description?
Yeah, absolutely. For the property fund and the security token assets, that's 100% a tokenized asset program.
Okay.
So right now, people can go to b4real.digital and then go to this page and buy tokens, right?
Correct.
Okay. Buy tokens.
And there's a countdown bonus there. What was that, Rob? Oh, there's the. Sorry, mate. You've just gone. There's 4 days. There's something happening in 4 days.
Yeah. So right now, so we've got 2 core tokens available right now. So we've got the B4Real token, which is B4RE. That's our utility token. So that has benefits for both people that are looking to buy real estate, and also benefits for real estate professionals when we onboard them at a later stage as well, in that it reduces fees in the platform and gives them various bonuses too. So the B4Real utility token can be staked. So I'll assume that nobody knows what staking is that is listening. Staking is where you take take a token, effectively you lock it up. Let's just call it, for simplicity, a high interest savings account, right? And it effectively generates a yield. Now, the yield that our staking system pays out is another token called B4RC. So the B4Real credit token. That token is priced at $1. You can use that with the property developers that we've got in our networks that are used in the program at the price of $1 to buy real estate immediately. So literally right now, you could take those. If you had 100,000 B4Real credits, you could take those and use that as a deposit on a property right now here in Australia. Now, that's the first layer of what you can do with that. The second layer is if you want to hold, if you want to like buy some B4Real tokens right now, stake those, lock them up, generate a 20% yield over 12 months, you can take that return and use that to buy into our tokenized property portfolio when it gets released as well.
That's interesting. And if people are buying them in the next 4 days, I'm sure you'll have other bonuses in the future, but then they're getting a bit extra than normal. And like you said, if someone was to put in, I don't know, 20 grand or whatever, and then they're staking, they're going to be making more of these credits automatically. So if they're ready in 6 months or a year, then they can use that.
Correct. And you know, whilst we've got these bonuses available, it really does serve as a very fast way to bridge the gap. So if you've got a gap in the deposit that you need to purchase a property, it's a very quick way. If you had, like, for example, a deposit and you required $40,000 as a down payment on a property, and let's assume that you're looking at one of the properties that are listed through our developer networks, you could quite literally take that $20,000 AUD, purchase $20,000 worth of B4Real tokens. That will give you 40,000 B4Real tokens and 40,000 B4Real credit tokens that are worth $1. Instantly, you've effectively got the $40,000 you need for the deposit. Nice. So here's where this gets exciting, right? You take that $40,000, you pay that as a down payment on the property, you get the rest of the mortgage as normal, which, wink, wink, we can help out there as well. But still, you've still got your original $20,000 worth of B4Real tokens that you can stake to keep generating that yield to then purchase in the property portfolio later on. So can you even
put that on your mortgage later on?
Not exactly. To my understanding, not Caroline, simply, unless there's something magical we're doing with something. But you can stake that, earn that yield, and then continue to build your wealth portfolio with
you invest in other properties, of course. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah. So I'm assuming when it's staked, it's locked as well.
Correct.
You can't just go and withdraw it at any time, because that would defeat.
You can withdraw it at any time. So once again,
okay.
Our approach is to really, as much as possible, utilize the Bitcoin crypto ethos, right? Which is it's your tokens, your way, your wallet. We've got no control there. If you want to take it and stake it, then you can obviously withdraw that at any time as well.
Okay,
cool.
So if I click on buy your tokens here, oh yeah, here you go. Connect. Because I love MetaMask, as you can tell, because I keep saying the word. So I can connect MetaMask to the B4Real, install the wallet. If people don't know how to have a MetaMask wallet, go back 10 videos ago, because Ed and I explained to everyone how you can set up a MetaMask wallet. And then you can put money on there, and it doesn't look that hard. Once you've got for me, I'm just talking about for me, once I've got a MetaMask wallet, I can follow these steps. And then I can invest, and I can start staking using your platform over there, which obviously connects to my wallet. Awesome.
And
so that's easy for me. I get that. I hope other people.
It's in Australian dollars, which is there is USDC as well. So
worth mentioning there too, guys. If someone is listening to this right now, as you can see, is a non-crypto native, right? So when they think about wallets and MetaMask and they look at that stuff on the screen and get overwhelmed, We do have a non-crypto pathway to be able to get some tokens, which is simply a form that they can fill out, and then we can do more of a manual process to help them out, and they can just do like an FPOS transfer.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I can watch that video there. It doesn't look that hard to get into this, which is what I was trying to get at. That's good.
Yep, and on that page too, if you scroll down,
yeah.
it's got our roadmap, it's got the things that we've achieved, our timelines moving forward, as well as the tokenomics and everything like that.
Oh yeah, on this page, I think. Oh yeah, the roadmap. Phase 1 complete, phase 2 in progress. Yeah, that's a lot. There's a lot of utility and actual roadmap development going on here, which is very important for people to invest in blockchain technology instead of some of these air tokens that don't do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good description of it, Rob. Air tokens.
There's a better description, guys. Come on. They're called shit coins.
They're called shit coins. This is clearly This has clearly got real use and real utility. And that's what Ed and I just, for our 2 cents, we try and only invest in blockchain technology and tokens that have real use and utility behind them. Don't get scammed.
Other than that,
really got real
other than that
utility.
$20 million worth of Dogecoin you and I bought together, mate. But
Yeah,
other than that, everything is just,
which is worth like $1 million now.
Other than
I'm
kidding.
You got to take a punt sometimes.
You do.
I can honestly say I've never bought any shit coins.
I cannot say that. I do play in the 24/7, 365 blockchain casino quite often.
Yes,
but I also like to invest in real utility tokens as well, like this.
Yeah.
And for anyone who's looking at investing in this, we are not being paid for this program. No. We're not saying you should do it. We're just providing you information. You need to do your own research before you decide to do your own
research. Yeah. So, that's true. We are not sponsored. This is one of the things.
We haven't been sponsored by anyone on the Assets Show ever. If we do in the future, we'll tell you about it.
Yeah, we're very transparent.
I mean,
about that.
honestly, look at us. Who would pay? Sorry, who would pay to do this? We're just having chats.
We've got to beg people to come on this show.
We've talked about B4Real and how people can invest in real properties on the blockchain. It's not too hard. You can use MetaMask or you can just pay in Australian dollars. Then we've got, what's B4Biz?
Sure. B4Biz is our obviously blockchain platform that is designed to nurture merchants into the blockchain space. So one of the things businesses get thrown at them all the time is, you should accept Bitcoin or you should accept this in your business. Even though there's the argument, obviously Bitcoin is not a transactional token, but there's a lot of confusion for merchants and business owners in that space. A lot of payment providers throwing at them every day to say you've got to accept this, but a lot of them don't know what do they do once they've got it. One of the core things we did, it's, we have our wallet, we have our facility up there, we have our own token that people can use on the B4Biz platform. But it is more of a education of helping merchants navigate this space. And that sort of rolls through to how our B4 Finance arm helps them out. So if you choose to accept Bitcoin in your business, for some reason, someone decides to give it to you, either buy a property, sell a car, whatever it is, then, do you rather than going to sell that straight away, because we know it's an appreciating asset, going forward, we all believe it will be an appreciating asset, then, we can collateralize that for them so they retain that asset through B4 Finance, and then they can obviously obtain cash from us. So really looking at how do we nurture business owners in the crypto space if they are accepting digital assets for goods and services. How do they retain those assets if they are appreciating, and they can leverage off them if they need cash to do anything in their business?
Great. Cool. So back to B4Biz. So if a company, or even if a tradie, say, wants to get paid in like Ethereum or something, is that something that B4Biz can help them set up?
Yes, we have a wallet in there, and they can accept Ethereum. our wallet has, I think we have 13 tokens
A couple,
in our wallet
yeah.
approved for, because
Cool.
we actually hold a digital currency exchange license and remitter license. So any currency we put in our wallet, we do need Austrac approval for it. So we sort of keep that contained to the top 10, top 12.
Yeah.
But yes, they can.
Great. So people can look more into that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. One of the things you said there about Austrac, I mean, regulations and the crypto space, blockchain space in general, have been discussed a lot. And for some reason, my camera is doing something weird today.
It's doing something weird.
Yeah,
that is weird.
I think it's the antlers.
Bear with. So regulations, and in particular regulations for the local market in Australia. How are you finding dealing with that? And do you find there's still a long way to go to make people feel more comfortable about getting involved in these spaces because of what's been happening in recent times with companies like FTX and that whole saga? How have you found it, Caroline?
Look, for me, the cleanup, what I call as a cleanup, has been a long time coming. And you know, it's really important that it happens. And I think the regulation is probably been too slow, well too slow, even though I understand everyone's taking time because they're worried about leaving gaps. But, you know, having it with as little or as confusing regulation as there has been has allowed way too much, you know, cowboy antics, I think, in the industry for way too long. And a lot of people have definitely, suffered because of that. So the cleanup is very positive. You know, I always share a story because people this year, you know, especially have been a little worried, but I actually think next year is going to be even worse. But don't quote me on that. You know, I don't want to scare anyone. But, you know, ASIC came in and regulated barter exchanges in 1996. And when they came in and regulated that industry, Australia had 72 operating exchanges. By the time the regulation was finished, there was 4 left.
Wow. Well, that says something.
That's a good analogy.
Okay, so, you know, and those 4 were the ones that obviously were most compliant, you know, that already prepared themselves for it. And that's why one of the things that Black Tie, you know, what we really did was make sure we hold our governance and our compliance. Because even though we love the decentralized ethos, if you start pushing that into the commercial space, you know, you must have your ducks in a row, because otherwise you'll be destined to fail. People ask me about this space, and I say it's like walking a tightrope. You know, you want to be a commercial guide rail. You don't want to destroy the space, because we all love it so much and we believe in it. But you know, you have to be prepared to walk that tightrope.
Yeah, it's a bit of a minefield. I think the more regulation, and this is where the people who are the diehard decentralization sort of folk who think everything should be just, you know, completely and utterly decentralized. To me, I think I'm living in la la land, because that's
decentralization maxis.
Yeah, that's it. And I understand why they're thinking that way most of the time, because the government does have its finger in a lot of our pies and controls things maybe more than it should do in a lot of cases. So, but maybe there's a huge overcorrection in their side. I always think there's going to be a combination of centralized and decentralized onboarding, offboarding, and there's got to be a workaround to make them all work together.
It's cyclical, right? So like throughout history, everything is cyclical, and we cycle from over centralization, and we then the pendulum swings to decentralization, and it's done this historically a number of times. So like, you know, you look at the government, and I'm the more libertarian one in our mix, right? I'm also the Bitcoin maxi of the group. I'm not a full maxi. I'm like 80% on the spectrum.
Fair enough.
I am on the spectrum. But you know, when you look at it, right, this is the whole thing that Bitcoin fights back against, right? It's that monopolization of certain sectors that is unhealthy and harmful. So even if you kind of backtrack to what you said about FTX recently, what you've got there is monopolization of a certain sector and hyper-centralization to the extent that FTX, whether you think there's a conspiracy, people conspiring to jeopardize the whole crypto scene or whatever, right? Or whether you just see it as it is, which is a massive scam. The reality is that they grew so big and they had their fingers in all these different pies. And because of that centralization, because of convenience, everyone got hit by it. A lot of people got hit by it. And in my opinion, you look at the government, right? And that's the biggest monopoly that you've got. You've got
absolutely.
You've got taxation by fiat, which is taxation by decree. You can only pay your tax with fiat. And I'm probably going to rant, so I'll stop in a second. But we had all these laws that have come out over time, right? You've got antitrust laws, right, where they break apart big monopolies. I think there's merit in decentralization in that it allows for healthy competition. And competition, I'm the capitalist. I love capitalism, right? I think it's the best system of economics that's ever been born. But like competition creates better products, and it does it at a better price point for the end user. Hyper-centralization and monopolies typically do the opposite, right? In fact, it creates lazy organizations that are complacent because they don't need to innovate because they own the space. So I think there's a fine line that we need to walk. I think that regulation needs to be in place to protect the end consumer, but at the same time, we need to be careful that it doesn't stifle innovation.
I think it depends where you are. Well said, by the way. And I want to have a beer with you one day, Todd, and keep talking about this stuff, to be honest. But I think it depends where you live in the world as well, right? If I'm investing in Australian real estate, I want to invest in a centralized entity that's governed and has everything in place and is quite safe in terms of not losing my money, because I know that they have to report everything to the appropriate agencies. But there's people that don't. I mean, there's people that live in, like, I'm not going to name a specific country, where it's more like a communist dictatorship, where they kind of want to get out, and they don't want to put everything in their kind of communist ecosystem. They want to try and get out. We're getting political here, but I think you need centralization, but you also need decentralization as well.
I think the decentralization side of it, I mean, that's where exchanges are useful for on-ramping and off-ramping and buying and selling. But in terms of storage, I mean, I'm assuming, I'm making assumptions. No, Rob and I, we believe if it's, not your
keys, not your crypto, baby.
Can't even bloody remember it now. Thank you. Not your keys, not your crypto. I've only said it like 5,000 times, but maybe that's why I've said it too much.
In that as well. I mean, I've had some coins in BlockFi, and BlockFi got bought out by FTX, and now they're all gone because they were giving such a good yield. But luckily, I had a diversified portfolio, which is what you've got to do, really.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I've got all my stuff on these things on ledgers, and that's but they're not foolproof. There's things that can happen. You can, there's all sorts of stories about everything. There's no absolute guarantee, but at least someone can't just go and take that off me. Well, they could. They come and take it, but it's not going to do me any good if they did. But in terms of leaving it to a centralized agency like FTX, where all of a sudden your money's there 1 minute and then it's completely gone the next. And the thing that annoys me about this, and there's some people who are talking sense about this whole scenario that's happened, is people are blaming Web3, crypto, blockchain, whatever terminology they're using to describe it, which is either accurate or not, or inaccurate. It's actually just down to humans being greedy. It's actually nothing to do with the technology the technology of decentralization works fine, but the bad actors who are telling people this is what we're doing, but then actually doing something else, that's where the problem lies.
Well, look, what happened with FTX isn't even new, right?
It's not. It's not
happening
new
for decades in the traditional finance scene.
Yeah, it's
it's
very
convenient to place the
Yeah.
blame on. It's convenient to place the blame on Web3 tech, but that's
Yeah.
just pointing a finger at the most easy target. Where the reality is that human greed is ever present, and remember, not your keys, not your crypto. Have a non-custodial wallet.
Yeah,
That's it.
And that's why you love Bitcoin so much, Todd, because there's no government or system that can stop Bitcoin at this point.
I can try, and there definitely will be, in my opinion, more plays to try and regulate it. They can make it difficult to spend it, right? But at the end of the day, there are a diehard cohort of Bitcoiners, and that's a proper term, right? Bitcoiner. You're a Bitcoiner. That identity, they're not going to sell their Bitcoin. They're not going to do anything with it because they believe in that decentralization of a very important feature of human life, which is finance.
Yeah,
100%. So speaking of finance, because one of the other B4s is the B4 finance, which we've touched on, but one of the terminologies that gets used a lot is crypto loans. I hear that all the time. Can you expand? Is that a terminology that you guys use? Is that something that's based on the B4 finance?
Sure, I'll take this one, Todd.
How does that work?
Sure. So B4Finance originally obviously set out to work with centralized lenders to recognise the importance of digital assets as deposits for property. When we started the B4Finance platform, we had to start door knocking with traditional lenders and get them to put digital assets as part of their lending policies. So that was really important because there were a huge amount of people trying to get into properties that didn't have cash deposits or they had little cash deposits, but their digital assets were not being recognised by the lenders as assets. So that was the first thing we started doing for B4Finance. So we have firmed up lending through major, approvals and partnerships where digital assets are recognised as, properly recognised by these lenders, and that includes, which allows them to, get better home loans because the asset base is stronger, and it allows them to, if they chose to, use crypto as a deposit on property. Okay. And then the balance of the loan, say it's an 80% loan or 70% rest they need for a home loan, that is automatically being able to be produced at competitive rates, which is really important for our, it goes back down to we set out to look after people and get them into properties faster. So we don't want them penalised with rates because their deposits aren't fiat. They're using digital assets.
Yeah.
So that was really important to us. That took us nearly 3 years of hard work to
I bet.
through. And, again, a lot of that became possible because of our great team and the relationships we've established after many years. And the other part of B4Finance is the crypto lending. So, again, we're very TradFi. We've stayed away from DeFi because it is, it can be very risky depending on, how far that people tend to push the envelope. But there is also a lot of regulation coming through and they're focusing heavily on the DeFi space. So our crypto lending is very straightforward. It's just about helping people collateralize their crypto. So being able to hold on to it, if you've acquired Bitcoin now as a merchant or, you bought Bitcoin, you don't want to be going and putting that out as a deposit on a property when it can appreciate for you as another, a wealth asset. So we're able to collateralize that for them and lend against it. So that's the two main functions of B4Finance.
Cool. Does it have to be when you're looking at the digital assets? Because obviously there's a huge degree of fluctuation in prices over the last 18 months or so. How is that sort of stuff calculated? And is it only certain coins or tokens that are accounted for or that are able to be used?
Yeah, correct. Again, yes, the set coins. Again, we've only, got the ASIC approved tokens that we've been able to collateralize against.
Okay.
And the LVRs are up to 75%. So they can lend up to 75% of their portfolio. But, you know, we do recommend to people to always leave themselves a buffer. You know, so, you know, only do a 60% LVR or 50, depending on what you're using it for. Because, you know, if there is a big drop, then you need to have a comfort zone. And I think anyone, you know, just common sense going into that area.
Yeah, that makes sense. Allowing for half of your investment to get cut in half. Yeah, that makes sense.
Just leave a buffer so you're not subject to a margin call or something. Whilst we would manage those margin calls to the best of our ability, we just don't want people in those situations anyway.
Yeah.
And by the way, Carolyn, congratulations on winning the most innovative blockchain CEO of 2022 for the Asia Pacific region.
Yes, lovely. Thank you.
That's a recent thing from CEO Monthly. Well done. How did that come about? How do these things come about? Is it do they pick you? Do you submit yourself? Because it happens both ways. I'm just curious.
Yeah, that one was specifically, I was nominated. So one of the groups that I do some work with, because we have a mentorship group, one of the women's groups there, and I put through information on that one. So it was a bit of a surprise, but as I tell everyone all the time, you know, it takes more than one person to innovate. You know, we're very it's a big part of how our teams pull our projects together. So we have very robust workshops, which Todd will attest to.
Yep.
But, you just can't innovate on your own. So it's very much a combined award, that one.
Well done, you and team. That's very, very cool. So yeah, it's a fascinating industry to be involved with because, as we all know, Australians are completely and utterly property mental. Like it's just part of our way of life. Whether that's good or bad or indifferent, I don't know. But that's how it is. More so than any other country I've sort of been to or spoken to is as obsessed with real estate as we are. So in that sense, I think it's great that you can get access to real estate in a different way now than you've ever really been able to as easily before. So have you found there's been any competition in the space at the moment? Are you guys mainly it? You don't have to name competition, obviously that would be a disadvantage to you, but are you seeing this space growing? Are you noticing there's more players coming into it?
It is interesting, right? Because one remark I do need to make about the Web3 space is that it's very collaborative. For example, we recently attended an expo where there was another company that do a form of tokenization. And, you know, sometimes in traditional business, you can be really competitive, whereas there's there's like a shift in the mentality in this Web3 space that I've picked up on, where a lot of people are more interested in collaborating and assisting because they want to see the space grow. So to come full circle and answer your question, there are other players in the market, but we've got a very unique product offering based on our team and the connections that we have and the way that we're doing it. So full circle, yeah, there's players in the market, but we're in our own lane and we're focusing on our lane and we're looking to do what we're aiming to do to the best of our ability. Interesting, right? Because in Australia, there's not too many people that are doing many Web3 plays when it comes to real estate. However, if you turn your attention to Europe and America, there are quite a few, right? But even in saying that, respect to what we're doing and the pathway we're taking, we're doing things differently, which we think is a good thing.
Of course it is. Yeah, that's it. Everyone puts it. Every business
what we were
puts its own.
talking about before as well, about a true capitalist system, which is like the best survive, and you want competition so that everyone can see that you're the best, and that's why they'll choose you. It's freedom of choice, right, in the market.
Pokemon, choose us.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Well, it's
Very cool.
important that you guys go on shows and go to expos, because as Ed and I tell people, if you're going to invest in digital assets and blockchain technology, tokens, you want to see real use case, real utility, and the people behind it are, especially in what you guys are doing, are interested in governance and reporting to the appropriate authorities. People feel safer in investing in those sorts of tokens and investments.
Well, talking about like regulations, this is another big point of difference between us and other players that may be in the market, is we do have a lot of licenses behind us, either directly or via our partners. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just going for the top of the head here. So we've got an independent remitters license. We've got the digital currency exchange license. We've got the authorized representative AFSL license. We've got, through partners, the managed investment scheme AFSL. Like, we've got a whole heap there, right? Securities AFSL. And that is, I think, important because it adds a layer of security to the end user, which is the consumer, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and, I think we've introduced people to blacktie.digital and B4Real and all the B4 ecosystem, and Caroline and Todd, and people can now go and do their own research and see if this is for them. It sounds like a great ecosystem you guys are building to help Australian businesses and investors.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Look, I really appreciate you having us here, especially being the last show of the year, and enjoyed meeting you in Sydney, Ed. I can't wait for next year. We're all strapped in for the roller coaster that's going to be place next year, and anytime where you need us to help or run another show, we're here for you. We love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we want to have people back on for updates down the track and see where things have progressed. So thank you both.
Especially we're at the top of the next bull market.
Yeah.
See where we came from.
Look, there's one thing that we always say: this is a space that is never boring. I mean, it's like roller coaster is the ultimate description. Even it's a roller coaster even in the great times, but it's particularly a roller coaster in the bear market that we are most definitely in.
Fortune, what's the saying, right? Fortunes are made in a bear market, not a bull market.
They are indeed.
And Ed and I are pumping out the shows, and we're at the bottom, and we're giving people different options to invest in. I hope they're choosing one or two of them along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks everyone. Anyone who's watched the show in 2022, we appreciate you taking your time to watch or listen to the show, depending on how you want to consume it. If you haven't already, if you're on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button. We appreciate that.
Yeah, guys, have a great Christmas, and thanks for coming on the show, and a good new year.
Your time. I know you've got a Santa hat and the reindeer hat out, even the travels, and we'll see you all in 2023.
Look forward
Absolutely.
to it.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye. See you guys.
Cheers. Bye.